morning and welcome to the Camnet breakfast. I'm Patrick Soko, your usual host, and today we have a fully packed program as usual. We are going to be discussing various issues, and also we are going to have the doctors from the Medical Women Association of Zambia to help us discuss important topical health matters. And just to get started with our program, we are going to go straight into Morning Booster with Isaac Machisa. Stay tuned.
Good morning and welcome to our morning breakfast, and this is the Morning Boost, and I am your presenter Isaac Matsa. I am here so that we can be able to do a warm-up exercise together just before you go about your day. Alright, as usual, we are going to start with a warm-up. There we go, warm-up. 1 minute warm-up. After that, we'll be able to do some mountain climbers. Just that. For a minute. Let's go. How was your night? Say something so that we know where you're watching us from. If you're watching via Facebook, let's go. By the way, this is what I'm doing. See that? That's the workout all together. You're going to feel your calves actually. You're going to feel your legs. 1 minute warm up. Let's go. And let's change to the warm up. That. Trotting. Go. 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 Down with the warm up. Getting into a wake up now. Let's go. Faster. Faster. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. All right. That's it. Today, we're going to do something different. Let's do this now. Go down. Lay flat. It's a 3-minute workout. Bring in your leg out, in, out, okay? In, out, out. That's the workout you're going to do now. So you come here, go down, body posture like that. Let's go. 1, 2. Let's work on the tummy. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's your first 10. So I'm going to do another 10. Let's go. Same thing. Down, straight up, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you're doing it correctly, you're going to feel your arms. 10. Okay. So that's 20. I have 2 more sets. Remember, just 5 minutes every morning. That's all you need. Okay, 3rd set. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. You should feel your arms. 4. And the belly. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so that's my 3rd set. I'm going to do the 4th one now. So that's going to be 40. So I'm working on the tummy, also strengthening my arms. Let's go, last 10. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 40. So I've worked on my triceps and biceps, burning fat on the arms and the tummy as well. Okay, so the same workout. This time I'm gonna do it faster. Remember, it's a 3 minutes workout. Okay, so I'm good. 1 minute now. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, let's cool down. So try that. After you come back home, try to do those workouts. And they're going to work out for you perfectly. So this is very good for you every time you do that. So let's do now cooling down now. Easy. Easy. You've done the workout already. Easy. Thank you so much. This is Isaac Matsa, and I'm going to see you again. Stay blessed and stay fit. Thank you.
Welcome back. There you have it, an interesting segment as usual, a morning booster where we get to do a morning workout. Just 5 minutes is enough for you to get warmed up, especially with this weather where we are preparing for June, July. As we get into the cold weather, we have to make sure that we keep our children safe and make sure that they are kept warm so that they do not catch a cold. We have to just make sure we help them do that because it has been quite cold, and we have seen a number of issues rising with flus being recorded, and the country also recorded cases of influenza. The Ministry of Health did confirm that information that 49 samples were tested, and out of 40, 39 were tested to have influenza. That was the development there from the Ministry of Health during the COVID-19 update. That's when the Health Minister, Sylvia Marcel, did update the nation on that sad development. We just hope we also manage to contain that, because we have seen more people presenting themselves with a lot of flu symptoms, and that's beyond the COVID-19, but we also have influenza now, and we just have to be proactive, ensure that we get early diagnosis, as the doctors always say. And talking about the doctors, it is the right time for us to look at our next segment in the which is a health corner with the Medical Women Association of Zambia, and we have Dr. Chipoya explaining the current polio situation in the country. Stay tuned.
Good morning, viewers. My name is Dr. Musole Chipoya, an epidemiologist at the Zambia National Public Health Institute, and I'm also a member of the Medical Women's Association of Zambia. We have been on a series discussing the polio virus. So we have had discussions on what exactly is polio. So polio is a highly contagious disease which can be transmitted from one person to another through the fecal-oral route. This means eating food or ingesting food that is actually contaminated with the polio virus. How can we prevent this virus or infection with this virus? We can prevent getting infected with the polio virus by ensuring that we are protected against all types of polio viruses, which is through oral polio vaccines as well as inactivated polio vaccines, which is mainly getting vaccinated. And mostly our vaccinations are targeting children under 5 years of age, so we need to ensure as guardians, as mothers, that we actually have our children protected with all the doses of the polio vaccines that are supposed to be given during the period of the under 5 age. We talked about the clinical presentation. How do cases with poliomyelitis present? It is important to note that 70% of those that are infected with poliovirus will not present with any symptoms or signs. 30% will present with very mild symptoms, which are usually transient. These are headache, fever, mostly flu-like symptoms, body aches, and of course that these signs and symptoms will usually clear out within a period of 3 days to a week. In addition to that, we have the 1% who are unfortunate and will present with paralytic poliomyelitis. And usually we're looking for cases with acute flaccid paralysis, which is sudden onset of weakness in any limb. This onset of paralysis should be a floppy type of paralysis, meaning complete loss of muscle tone in that affected limb. When we suspect that one has been infected with poliovirus and they are presenting with acute flaccid paralysis, what steps should we take to investigate this person? We were told in the previous presentation that we will have to collect stool specimen, and these stool specimen are then taken to the virology lab at the University Teaching Hospital, where we actually investigate to see whether there are any polioviruses in the stool specimen or not. So in addition to that, of course, we know that this is a very timely discussion because we have a polio outbreak in the neighboring countries, one of which, or the most recent of which, is actually in Malawi. But of course, in addition to Malawi, we have outbreaks in Congo, we have outbreaks in Angola, and we have outbreaks in Mozambique. So we need to ensure that we are well protected and we are well informed about this polio virus, as well as how exactly we can prevent infection. So we have been talking about the many countries that have outbreaks of polio. When was the last time that Zambia actually reported a case of poliovirus? It was important for us to note that in 2019, Zambia had 2 cases of poliovirus in the country. One was in Chavuma and one was in Chiengi. The first case was actually the Chiengi case. This was a 2-year-old child, a male child of Chiengi district. And the child presented with symptoms of sudden onset of weakness in the limb. And when this was investigated, stool samples were collected, and we found that actually this was a case of polio. And it is unfortunate that the child had not received any vaccines to protect that child against this type of disease. And also unfortunate that the paralysis that this child has is a lifelong disability. The second child we had was also a child of Chavuma district in Northwestern Province. This was a female child, 2 years old as well, and the child presented with a sudden onset or weakness in one of the limbs, which is the lower limb. And when this child was investigated, it was also found that this was a case of poliomyelitis. So in as much as we are hearing about this outbreak outside in the neighboring countries, it is also important to note that because of how transmissible it is, how highly transmissible it is, this infection could as well be in our country. And that is why, as a country, we have continued to emphasize the need for strengthening of routine immunization, as well as the continued vaccination campaigns, which have been ongoing in Lusaka and actually now in all 10 provinces of the country. So this has been our discussion today on poliomyelitis and the current situation in the country, as well as looking at the polio cases in Zambia. My name is Dr. Musole Chipoya, epidemiologist at the Zambia National Public Health Institute and a member of the Medical Women's Association of Zambia. Thank you so much for joining us today. Keep watching Camnet TV. Thank you.
There you have it. We had Dr. Chipoya explaining to us the current polio situation in Zambia. As of the current status in Zambia, we don't have any case of polio, but it was recorded in our nearby country, which is Malawi. You know, Malawi is just a sister or brother to Zambia. You see?
You can actually walk in and out, Patrick, and without being recognized that you're Zambian,
exactly.
Malawian. Yes,
it's very us who can even speak the Eastern language.
Yes, you guys.
We're just
even though those people didn't do you good last time you were in Eastern Province, they didn't actually realize
that when they had to steal from me, you know. So I understand.
Only Eastern I was done justice by his fellow Eastern. I wonder whether they say wise men from the East is true. you know,
and you know what? I recorded that incident as the only person who was the saddest out of during the Nchwara.
During the Nchwara ceremony.
Yes, I had that record.
We are going to recreate that moment.
No, we're going there. I'm not going to Nchwara again.
Don't! We are recreating that moment. You will have to go to the Nchwara ceremony next year and probably come back with 3 phones from unknown humans.
Are you encouraging me to also pickpocket?
No, I didn't say that. I'm just saying you come back with 3 phones from unknown humans.
Winning me or doing the...
Regardless of how you're going to come with those phones, but just come back with 3 phones. However, this is the breakfast show, and we've had 2 of our segments this far. The Morning Boost and the Health Corner, where we talk about issues to do with health and brought to us by the Medical Women Association of Zambia. They've been very, very good and consistent and timely as well, looking at the situation of polio in our neighboring country and the intensification of countries giving out these polio jabs to these children. I think it's a timely message, and every one of us can listen to it, take time to listen time and again from these health experts so that we can make informed decisions.
Yeah, informed decisions indeed. And just now we are going to look at how the kwacha is performing against other major convertibles. Well, by close of business as of Wednesday, 5th May 2022, $1 was buying at 16 kwacha 84 ngwe and selling at 17 kwacha 17 ngwe, and the British pound was buying at 21 kwacha 12 ngwe and selling at 21 kwacha 54 ngwe. €1 is buying at 18 kwacha 89 ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha 26 ngwe. Wow, the South African rand is buying at 1 kwacha 6 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 08 ngwe. Those are your money markets. Sharon,
Indeed,
your
Patrick.
kwacha still exciting you.
It's still
But I'm wondering, yesterday you did a wow, but you've been saving in dollars.
No.
So, but why were you wowing? Don't you think your money is losing
the
value?
one who's been saving in dollars actually who's feeling the pain is Prudence Chota. She's the one who says, no, and this one got $1 and sungin, so that I don't know.
Ngakakwana ka 22 kwacha ngakingwe.
No, no, got $2,000. I don't know when that will be though. But this is how our kwacha is faring against other major convertibles right here. As of close of business yesterday, 4th of April.
Oh, yesterday was 4th, actually, yes, 4th of May 2022. Yeah.
I don't know where he's rushing to, but we'll get there, Patrick.
I may want to get to another month end.
To another month end. Month and fever, but anyways, like we always say, this is your platform. You can call in and send in those text messages. Let's get interactive and speak to those people you think need to hear your messages. We don't actually restrict you to comment on the stories that we're in, but you can just call in and talk about the situations in your various communities. This is your platform.
And on the sports update, we are just going to look at the Champions League. And the Champions League has been exciting this season. A number of activities have actually transpired. And Real Madrid has proved it to be a formidable force. Manchester City actually were a better side starting throughout, but they couldn't just contain the confident Real Madrid, which managed to win the game after all was said and done in an aggregate of 3-1. So Real Madrid there managed to beat Man City by 6-5 on goal aggregate. Well, too many goals scored, like Sharon would say, cricket scores or basketball scores there. And we also had Liverpool up against Villarreal. This was on Tuesday. Liverpool was a better side, and they managed to win the match on 5-2 goal aggregate. Well, Liverpool and Real Madrid will be playing in the final. That's an update on the sports there. And we are going to see whether it's going to remain in Spain, in England, or in Spain. But Madrid has proved to be a side that can actually demolish all the three top teams in the English Premier League. We saw them managing to beat Chelsea. They just beat Manchester City yesterday. And Liverpool may be the next victim. So we're just going to watch that final. It's on the 28th. By then, we should have bought you a jersey as the new Madrid fan.
Let's weigh in this issue, Patrick. There's been, I don't know if I can call it a rumor or allegations or accusations that these betting organizations buy football teams to lose or to do what so they can make money. How true is this? And looking at this Wazungu football, quite about corruption.
Well, that's quite an interesting subject you bring, Sharon. Yes, some instance there's what they call in fact, players are not allowed to bet. The professional players are not allowed to bet. But there are some players who are actually betting. You bet, so when they discover you, they'll suspend you. And there are some players who have been casualties of that. But there has been also that suspicion, because sometimes you'd wonder, say, how did this game... You get the sense, right? So sometimes there's always that suspicion of collusion to say, when this team, making sure that this team loses so that this team wins, because this team has been given too many odds, so much, you'd find that the team that's supposed to win, it loses, and more people lose money. For example, let's say you are expecting Nkana to play Manchester City.
I'm a fan,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Oh.
So now imagine, Sharon, as you are expecting Manchester City cannot play in Nkana and expect them to lose. So, but you discover that Nkana beats Man City by 4-0. So
you get shocked.
Now you get shocked. Now you say, "Oh, what's happening?" You see, all those suspicions now come into force. Say, no, because literally when you are betting, Sharon, you can't bet for Nkana.
No. You're going to bet for the team that has more chance.
Yes.
Has more experience.
So you find that Nkana will have more odds. And Nkana won't actually... So the game will go the other way.
Opposite direction.
And for me, really, I just wonder how this whole entire sports betting has taken the sports by storm. In every sport, Sharon. Even chicken fighting. People are betting.
Don't tell me.
People are betting. You see, I was actually trying hard to swear that I discourage Elijah, because, he may end up betting the money he needs to spend on his big day.
Is that a sport?
Yes.
Chicken fighting?
Yes.
How?
The cocks do fight. You bring I'll take it to the betting. I think you need to also do that story, Sharon. I can take you to the betting bay. Then you see how many sports activities there, and how many sports you can say, I'm betting on this black chicken. Yes, just like that. But dogs as well. All those things. Horse racing. All
yes,
this.
that I know. I'm aware. But chickens?
Yes.
I mean, that's playing with food. Really, I don't like playing with food. So, for me, a chicken fighting, use it in a... no.
It may be losing taste.
No, Morandu. Nkoko ya kulia. You eat this food. You don't make it fight against the other.
Let's just zoom in one story from this area where in Chipata compound, yes. Mandevu constituency, where That is a bango.
Market.
Yes, yeah. So people are fighting over the market. So let's hear what they are demanding for, and you too there can add your voice to this story and other stories we'll be talking about. Other stories we are zooming in include also the story on the Africom where HH was busy talking to the media at
give
length.
us a lecture for 3 hours, man.
Yeah, but you must be grateful for that free lecture because that session was not paid for. You didn't pay for it.
It wasn't paid for, and it was impressive that the head of state could actually spare his time to come and discuss various issues in the media fraternity. I must remind you, Patrick, that it was part of the World Press Freedom Day commemorations, and this year they decided to have a conference because he couldn't be with us on the actual day. He was busy, but he decided to be with us yesterday at the conference, and he was there on time according to schedule. He was supposed to be there around 10. He was there early enough before even the time allocated to him. And we were with him for like 4-5 hours. You know, he left around 14 somewhere.
For me, I described that event as a game changer.
Yes, it was really good. And the Minister of Information and the Permanent Secretary also remained behind after the head of state left. We were with them up until the close of the session 17. So it was quite an interesting session. Only that the other half of the session was not broadcast live. But it would have been very, very, very amazing to you guys to just watch what was happening behind the scenes. But we will still continue to talk about it. Let's look at the story that made headlines yesterday from Chipata Compound regarding the market and obviously the issue of political party interference coming into play. And that's where the bone of contention is, because these market traders feel this executive was brought in by the previous Nanikan.
Yes.
So Nombara rights up there, they've continued in their way of disregarding our rights, using the money according to the way they want. But let's look at the story, then thereafter we can continue discussing.
Traders in Lusaka's big Chipata market of Mandevu constituency Wednesday raised several concerns about several challenges being faced in the market, among them not allowing the traders to elect new market leaders, as well as the sale of public properties by those who have been elected into office. The traders told this reporter that a shelter built by the Patriotic Front using market resources has been sold by the Patriotic Front area councillor Boniface Wale after the PF lost the elections.
Kuti vantu vadzisevenzerapo amene asowa chochita agulisapo so chabe, but vakansela beve vanachita encourage kuuza vanyamata kuti vagulise building, vanagulisa kuli jeje so that akabwera jeje bonse abaso abayala bonse.
Ni community market yamene inagulisiwa yamene ifeta bene market naganiza kuti since mwamene chidiriso chenzofunika kuti tichose ija polisi kuja pano pamangiwe polisi kaja ka polisi kali kuja ne kang'ono vanagulisa ma PF cadres ndi vanagulisa I property.
Among other complaints is that the market toilet meant for the use by marketeers has equally been put on this.
Community toilet serving the purpose for the community. Unfortunately, there are a lot of changes inside. It appears there are some people with divergent views. Maybe they want to change the purpose of this. Instead of it being a community a community toilet, I don't know what made them to demolish whatever is inside. We just don't know why.
Others have told this reporter that an interim committee, which was elected in 2015 by some former Patriotic Front cadres, which was only supposed to be in office for 3 months, has now been in office for more than 7 months.
Market makamaka Mandevu constituency akamba kuti ni APF kube chinga chitike bamene bajanali pa APF akali na manje swaka no itama elections atiye still choke kuno kulibe chani UPND size iva kuno afuna beve ankalilile sotabe apu pabena zakafunira bene vaka kutoka
siving ukakafunsako tina toilet market tina manzi market but ukafunsako nkhani ya ndalama za ku toilet za kumanzi nisisuza kambisana nawo antu 3 or 4 years simupita na chabe anachita hivyo ni wachamani ine pano ananyitengera makada kuja kubwera anabo koma shop market after koma shop anamumenya mwana wanene nasi ya pa shop iyo nkhani naipeleka ku polisi kupolisi kuja nkhani utiti konke manefunikira sinaende manefunikuendeki.
But area councillor Boniface Walia, when contacted, told this reporter that his office is keen to ensure that it tables the challenges faced by the people who elected them into office.
It's intact. And it's a part because chava mumino ya water trust. And it's a lengerewa water trust at one bill running a toilet because I mentioned Mboko Shopa. That's the thing. But vacancy not what a problem. Muya kaka place ka office umale kalama youths kale our PF na lishle butukila bolu biro na batana address abantu na batana sure ukweba in as long as opondi tapali ukesangala kulia kaka office.
With regards to the election for the new market committee, the councillor says he has never received any report of such, and that since the matter has been brought to his attention, it will involve the relevant authorities.
Councillor, mwali ba peace, mwali bo mutende. So na papa fyo kumfa complaints yambi. But as I always say, the powers of the area councillor is vested in the community. In a coach community anjeva. But at the moment na ishwat executive omo yaba, there is a leadership in place. Mwali baba chairperson, mwali baba secretary, once of executive yali kwana no wonder pale for kwisa mkutista visit office yani.
While cadres had in the past been running the affairs of markets and bus stops, sanity needs to be restored back to these facilities to ensure that marketplaces, which are important for human beings, continue to function appropriately. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
During the Lusaka media conference held in Lusaka Wednesday, President Hakainde Hichilema seized the opportunity to dispel rumors circulating on some section of the media, alleging that government is planning to set up an American military base in the country. This assertion emanates from an earlier visit by the United States Africa Command Brigadier General Peter Bailey and his entourage, who announced that the United States government will open the African Command, AFRICOM, an Office of Security Cooperation at the United States Embassy in Zambia. The president has told the journalist that such allegations should be treated as false by all Zambian citizens.
By a line. Falsehoods, no. Availability, yes. Very simple. Falsehoods, no. Availability, yes. They are not available, they should be available. If the provider of news is not available, you can't replace that with falsehood. Simple. Now, Africa, I think I answered adequately. Adequately. The global community is challenged with new threats. So if you argue on this security cooperation on the basis of 1964 protocols, you have missed it. And no country alone must direct programming. No country alone can secure its boundaries working alone. No one. So let's not get into politics over security. We had a visitor. When I was at Addis Ababa, you saw me having a meeting with the Somali Prime Minister, isn't it?
The president has since challenged the media not to allow unproven information on their platform.
Second part, if they are not available, what do? We don't run the programs because someone is available. Now, there lies in the real issue. We've dealt with availability, hopefully it will change. But if someone who you believe has the facts is not available, it is not a justification to go and tell lies. The two are different. Then you are losing your professionalism. I think we agreed earlier in the day that facts cannot be replaced and should not be replaced by falsehoods because you destroy a community.
President Hichilema has emphasized that issues bordering on national security must not be taken lightly as they have potential to bring about chaos in the country. Alex Shimba, Camnet News, in Lusaka.
All right, so those are some of the two stories that made headlines yesterday, the 4th of May 2022, and the councillor there, Patrick Soko, for the community story that was done by Prudence Chota in Chipata compound. I think we were there the other time when the previous councillor,
Tamba was touring
the market and distributing face mask and other party regalia. That was before the elections because he was aspiring to be
a
member of parliament, and unfortunately Mandevu rather, yes. Unfortunately, he wasn't adopted, and he has gone into oblivion since.
He has been very quiet.
He's been very quiet, but we will fish him out of his zone and talk to him and see what his plans are.
He still needs to continue to contribute.
Exactly.
It's among the popular councillors we had during the PF. Was more. He was more of a media person, like most frequently talk about issues in his ward, just like we see other councillors like Salubusa, like Mainda Simatana. So, but it was among those that were proactive.
In opposition.
I think he suits to be in opposition.
He suits to be in opposition.
He needs to give the government checks and balances. But
giving himself checks and balances.
It's important I think if our members of parliament could debate like that, I think would be making progress, because some members of parliament would be quiet the entire session up to they will be out of office.
They'll be
drinking
tea, coffee, and hot chocolate, especially in this cold season that we're entering in. My God, coffee achula.
Yes, but we need members of parliament to actually stand up to say, this is the issue in my constituency, and how are you helping me address this issue? Minister. So I think that's also another problem where we have sometimes ministers who are also appointed from the political party, and sometimes you think, should I tell Sharon about that?
They will decide to sugarcoat everything.
I'll be attacking her.
Yes.
So that's this honorable minister. We don't have this in this community. Our people are suffering from this. But you see, most opposition members of parliament are the ones who actually bring out issues that affect their members. They'll say, okay, this is what is happening. This is what is trending. It's just the same like even Mao Sampa. Mao Sampa has been the member of parliament in the past, Sharon. But now, this is when he even goes on the ground and try to expose things that are happening in his ward. But those days you wouldn't do that when he was in the ruling party.
In the ruling party.
If you ask me, and you and I know better that health centers in terms of sanitation, they have been poor.
It's historical.
And when we talk about queues, people are being subjected to long queues. You and I have been going to Kanyama, Mandevu, Chawama. These sometimes the situation has always been the same.
Exactly.
But now he realized it now.
He has just realized it now. That in opposition, at least I'm sure he's bought a new lens. Because obviously he wasn't seeing those. But now that he's wearing a new lens, he's able to see clearly what is happening in his constituency.
That begs me to where your lens is, because clearly you cannot see clearly as well.
Can't. Oh, you're being malicious and they're attacking me on air. All right, then this is the Camnet breakfast. And Patrick, we were talking about the story that the president had clarified on yesterday. It's been a great subject of debate, at least for the past 3 weeks. And the Emmanuel Mambas of that world going to radio stations and issuing statements. Actually, he was one of the first people that brought this story to light.
Yeah,
so this administration is bringing this military regime from the United States, when other countries like this have not accepted this. How come we are doing this? So it's just been a whole lot of a conversation surrounding this, but the facts not being put on the table. But obviously, one or two government officials had clarified prior to this. But, the president's words stand. And yesterday, he just issued a statement when he was with us at the conference to say, don't allow people to maliciously talk about government and give them 2 hours of your time. Like, for example, having a breakfast show here for 2 hours. And then we bring in somebody who's going to talk about anything ill about a government, without proof. So he was like, that is too much time and that is irresponsible of you as a media, because really you can set the country on fire with false information. But then again, one thing that came out prominent, Patrick, was your people are not available to clarify these issues, And journalists, we are comfortable enough to tell the president that, to say, your people are not available. What do you expect?
every time. Are you making it? Are you making it?
Misinformation because people are not available to clarify these issues. Of course, maybe the Minister of Defense is charged with this responsibility. He would have just held even a press briefing. He's not always in the public, you know. Even in the previous administrations, Minister of Defense was not always holding press briefings.
But they opt to send us a statement.
Yeah.
How can we clarify issues?
It was very, very important. No, it was just important, even just to hold a briefing, you know, to say, okay, the situation here is this, this, and this. But elaborately.
I like the fact that you also stated during your conference as journalists there at Mulungushi. You stated that their communication strategy, you actually pinpointed that it is poor because, like we are saying here, the U.S. visitor comes here, and the Minister of Defense, or even the Army commander or someone can be delegated, Sharon, to hold a media briefing. Yeah. They can talk to us, like to say, okay, the visitor from the people from the U.S. is that they are trying to set up the Africa Command Center. The Africa Command Center works like in this way and not in that way. The Africa Command Center is not a base. Then, Sharon, you have questions to say, what do you mean that it's not a base? Or can you clarify on this issue? So that way, by the time we are writing the story, we will be the people to just to defend what the government has stated, to say, but why are you digressing? Because the president said, or the minister said, it is this position. But you know, what we only saw was a statement that was coming from the U.S. Embassy through its public relations unit. And for, I think, our own government, I don't remember if they had actually issued a direct statement then, because the statement came from the U.S. Embassy. And
everything.
Yes. So when that story was coming out, people were also calling me and saying, what does this government want to do? Can you follow them? Can you ask them? And as if people were busy yelling at me, as if I'm the government, the spokesperson. But I knew my responsibility was to ask for them on their behalf. And I started trying to gather opinions from people. And I used the right background. For me, I gathered the background, and I also talked to Chilufya Tayari, the first story. I told him, I acknowledged, to say, they're not setting up a base, but it's an Africa Command Center. But still more, we don't want these things to continue. They start slow, but they eventually grow, and before we realize it, a base will be in Zambia. So those are the issues. But like the president clarified, some of these issues, Zambians have a stake, and then they have the right to actually intervene and question if they think some issues are not as suspicious, or they are not happy with certain. Remember, even bilateral ties, Sharon, they're signed on behalf of us. They're not they're not signed on individuals. Basis, say because president is Zambian president and the Indian president, for instance. No, it's about Zambia and Zambia. That's the way. That's the way it works. So even the government itself has to be making sure that it consults the people. And if you talk about 2 hours given to an opposition or someone, it also varies into the context in which you are doing that, Sharon, if you ask me. Because sometimes even the president, we hosted the president for those long hours without, for instance, the PF ministers on the set to justify some of these issues. He was hosted, or most of the time he's hosted on this platform. But what you also mentioned that is important is the issue of not telling lies, making sure that whoever has been interviewed is not telling lies.
Yeah.
Even us as moderators, we have a responsibility to ensure that we just keep the sources to say, but can you verify that? But how true?
How true is that information?
Who told you? Is your information substantive? So those are things we can do as moderators to just help people stay within their lane and stop misleading the people. Because at the end of the day, like you're saying, if you're going to spend more hours misleading people, then you're sending wrong information there.
Exactly.
And that defeats the relevance of the media, especially traditional media. But again, Sharon, I think, I hope you did tackle this at your conference. we bear the brand now as the traditional media because we have become a clarification agency.
Yes.
Where social media has gone to do its misinformation. And then he has to clarify. No, the Minister of Information, he says has he clarified and no.
And she probably clarifies 2 days after. However, she mentioned to say no. I think all journalists or reporters need to have a contact base for almost all the ministers and all the people charged with the responsibility so that they can call respective ministries. Much as she is the government spokesperson, she's not privy to some of the information. It takes long for her to get that information. So she was basically defending herself as to why sometimes she takes long to respond to some of these issues. She said it's better you call the respective minister of that ministry and issue. For example, you're talking about issues to do with SMEs. Why would you call me? You know, I may have not gotten hands on that information. So I'll tell you, hold on, while I find out, while you can't wait. So the best you can do is to call that minister and get the information from there. So I don't know if she was just trying to justify or it makes sense or it was just one of those things.
So we hope going forward we have that cordial relationship with the ministry, and we hope the private sector will be also put on board in terms of covering these press briefings. Sometimes it annoys me because you find that there was a press briefing at State House.
You have no idea about it.
And they would select the same media houses to continue attending these press briefings.
But honestly, the president, I think, because he's been talking about these times without number. Like, you know,
if himself is available, even are you aware that you had to spend the entire day with the minister yesterday, but normally should have spent only 30 minutes with you just reading a speech
and go.
Under normal circumstances.
But obviously she was challenged. Say,
my boss was here for 4 hours.
5 hours.
You see, so I think that's why I said that conference you had was a game changer. It was a game changer because you had raised the number of issues that need attention and a number of key pronouncements, which I hope the Media Liaison Committee will take seriously and ensure that they are actualized. The issue of revising the cyber laws, ensuring that the access to information law is implemented, ensuring that self-regulation is actualized. These are key components that are going to help the media stand on firm ground, and also revisions to the IBA Act, so that it can be, the appointments of the board can be looked at to be more transparent, as opposed to the current situation where the minister does the most of the job. So that's another issue that I saw was more topical.
Also, Patrick, one of the topical issues and very, very important, according to the president, was that media houses should come up with viable business proposals how they can survive. Because also one of the issues that always comes out when it comes to these engagements is that media journalists, media practitioners are paid low salaries, you know. So the president media houses need to come up with viable business plans on how they can survive, because you cannot keep complaining all the time, and you cannot keep having unprofessional people simply because you can't pay professional people, you know, to help you thrive. So he really spoke so much about that, and he also touched on the issue of Times of Zambia. I think he was asked, because Times of Zambia, obviously, it's in public domain, that it's up for closure probably by the end of this year, and they're phasing out slowly, but maybe by December it may just completely die like that. So he was like, if journalists can come on board and buy the institution, I would sell it at the cheapest price there is. That was an offer from the head of state. You know, he would sell
so that it survives.
He would sell Times of Zambia at the cheapest price. According to him, who's been in the business sector for a long time, he says, I'll sell Times of Zambia for $1. You know, that's a pledge that he gave. So if all those that are leaving, it's about 200 workers, if they were to put in, but they form like a cooperative, all the emoluments that they are pay retirement package, if they were to put it together, it can survive. at least even as a brand, then maybe they can go and rent another building or something. Because all the assets I hear they've been taken over by ITC. So literally the institution has nothing to its name as we stand, you know. So maybe they'll just be buying the name, the license and whatever. But if that can be done, honestly, I think it would be good, because he was just imparting in us the business mind that each one of us needs to have, even as we work.
Yes, that was quite an important point, because media houses hardly write proposals.
No.
Under CDF, Sharon, you are busy. From cooperatives, I'm not seeing any cooperative that is media based. I'm not seeing media houses pitching for CDF.
For CDF.
So, how you expect you are a business surviving in a community, but you don't want to benefit from the available resources that are within the government?
Yes.
And the president said it. You are a Zambian first before you are an entity.
Yes. Yeah.
You are a Zambian first before you are a journalist, Sharon.
Yeah.
Think of how you survive.
So
that's how we got an. Besides, I said that lecture you attended,
really good and
you should be grateful that lecture.
It was worth it,
yes.
And we learned quite a lot from the first businessman we have, first marketer we have.
The chief Zambian marketer, yeah.
Chief marketer of Zambia.
The chief marketer actually sealed a big deal with DRC.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you saw his colleague from DRC coming. So the chief marketer is very active.
I think that responds to Antonio's question previously, where he was saying the president has been traveling ever since he attained office, but nothing has come forth. So I'm sure does valid his mulomo.
Yeah, it has. Let's zoom in two stories. One from Lusangazi and the other one on the court where we had the chief magistrate there castigating the Anti-Corruption Commission officials against intimidating the witnesses. That's a story that was at the court buildings yesterday, the Lusaka Magistrate Court.
Let's look at the stories.
In all facets of development, rural communities continue to remain behind. Define the concept of sustainable development goals of not leaving anyone behind. This is Lusangazi district in Eastern Province, where children hardly have access to recreation facilities. But this does not mean they are short of alternatives to make life a little bit exciting. People in this locality have a cocktail of needs that remain at the stage of aspiration. Some are happy with the free education policy, but others want jobs, and certain people want good roads.
Farming ulimi ufunika mapunziro, garden watu watai ufunika mapunziro. So for education yamene yawerako taipokerera ni abwino. Nene grade 11. Shinakanga kuti nifika grade 12. Kambako kangiwa ninzeve ndalama kuti anthandize makolo. Mzimaya namwalira mu 2000. Okay. I tried by all means until kufika grade 4.
Dandaulo yasu manzi niyo sakwanira veni makliniki niyo sakwana vamene hivi dandaulo yangu
ndithandizireko mseu waonongeka mseu muloleshepo mweyo boma na networki kulie.
These are just among the many challenges people continue to encounter. All those concerns were captured during the tour of duty being undertaken by United Party for National Development UPND Secretary General Batuke Imenda, who blamed the underdevelopment in the area on the previous administration being the Patriotic Front.
The type of developmental neglect that the people here are experiencing are unbelievable. The rate of clean water with regards to the people going to each and every point where there are boreholes, you'll be surprised that they are sharing water with animals. We are here at a school where we find a borehole which is dry. and people still go to streams. So that is one of the issues that we are going to address as quickly as possible.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Despite the prolonged dry spells experienced during the rainy season in 2021, resulting in late planting or replanting of maize by farmers, Zambia will not be affected by the food crisis roaming around the globe, even though some crops were destroyed by climate change, which threatened production. The Food Reserve Agency says 1.2 million metric tons of maize has been secured to feed the nation up to March 2023. Speaking during a press briefing, FRA board chairperson disclosed that the tons of maize secured are from all the 390 FRA depots.
You may be aware, Honourable Minister, that the agency during the 2021 marketing season purchased a total of 947,777 metric tons of maize. This was in addition to the carryover stock of 319,109 metric tons, giving us a total of 1,267,977 metric tons of maize held for the National Strategic Food Reserves as of 4th February this year. Today's address, members of the press, today's address to our presidents and various stakeholders stems from the need to verify the quantity and quality of the reported 1,266,977 metric tons of maize.
He notes that through the National Strategic Food Reserves, 85% of maize that is of good quality has been secured in storage facilities.
In conducting this exercise, stocktake teams, Honourable, were set up and dispatched to all the 10 provinces of our country, targeting a total of 415 main depots, holding depots, and satellite depots, reported with maize. And satellite depots reported with maize stocks as of 4th February 2022. The stocktake confirmed through physical counting, Honourable Minister, the existence of 1,209,465 metric tons of maize. I'll repeat this. The stocktake confirmed through physical, members of the press, the stocktake confirmed through physical counting the existence of 1,209,465 metric tons of maize in 390 FRA depots across the country.
Meanwhile, Minister in charge of Agriculture, Ruben Mutolo, says measures will be put in place to promote a balance between business and national food security.
Is as good as food being in a home for individuals, and the two constitute national food security for a country. In this regard, therefore, let me take this opportunity to inform the country, through you, the members of the press, that after this exercise, the ministry will have an enhanced confidence position in terms of giving out the stock position as we share with you from time to time. From today, I will ably say we have 1.2 million tons of maize because the agency has verified that the 1.2 million tons is available. In this vein, also, allow me to share with you the national stock position as at the 12th of April 2022. The total national stock position is 1.5 million, and we have heard here what the Food Reserve Agency is holding.
They revealed this information while it's giving a report on the audit of maize stock exercise under the National Strategic Food Reserves. Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Thank you for staying with us. You are watching the Camnet Breakfast Thursday edition, Governance and Policy, and we are zooming in some stories that were trending in the main news. We're just zooming in stories from Lusangazi, where the people there have a number of issues that they desire to see: roads, employment, others want water. And these are the challenges that the United Party for National Development government has to address to ensure that the people's lives are uplifted, to ensure that we conform to the Sustainable Development Goal agenda, which is not leaving anyone behind. But at the moment, it speaks to the contrary, because a lot of people have been left behind. Yeah.
Indeed, Patrick, a lot of people have been left behind. But most of our themes, really, for a lot of things, including our national plan that we are using, Patrick.
When are you doing that review actually of the 7th NDP? Because truly, I don't think we have achieved much.
No, we haven't. We haven't achieved much, and we are going into the 8th National Development Plan. But it shouldn't be business as usual, where you know, a plan doesn't really get to be actualized, and then we still come up with another plan. But maybe some of the things that were contained in the 7th NDP will be moved further to the 8th NDP, because they were still viable, but maybe they have just not been achieved. So we'll look at it. The plan is out, and I think we just need to look at it and see how we can do. I think I have it.
It was interesting. The 7th NDP was one of the well-crafted plans, because with the support of the UNDP, and we saw it taking a cross-cutting or a multi-sectoral approach, and it also encompassed, took on board the aspects of the private sector. Various sectors were addressed in that 7th NDP. That's why, like you were saying, hoping that most of the projects will be continued under the 7th NDP, because it was just a progressive document. We started well with the implementation, and I remember the Civil Society for Poverty Reduction, CSPR. Wow, the Patrick Shindano was the executive director there. They were actually the communication wing, in terms of, they were the ones who were actually responsible for updating the nation on the progress made, and we saw them making those updates. But as we were heading towards 2020, 2021, they just vanished, and we no longer we were no longer getting updates. So, and we couldn't even track the progress. Yeah, so that was the question. And we saw Mr. Shindano going into a different field altogether, from the civil society to the Electoral Commission of Zambia, and he had actually built a very good reputation in the civil society, because they were an organization that was on the ground, talking about various issues that affect the communities, and though their vibrance has slightly reduced since then, but we just hope that they will manage to gain the momentum like they have been in the past, because these are critical institutions that continue to help us in terms of providing checks and balances, and just assessing how people are living, especially in far-flung areas in the rural parts of Zambia, to ensure that there's actually inclusive development, which we continue to seek, even as we exist, because we want to see a better society in Zambia. We don't want to see a country that is continued to be characterized by over 60% of rural household poverty. We just hope that the new joint administration with its CDF, which has been tipped to be a game changer, we hope that there will be actually an acceleration of development in these rural communities. We just hope that the 25.7 million kwacha, when spent in a constituency, that's quite a huge sum of money that can really bring a result, Sharon, there. And we are also food secure. That's a good part, according to the Food Reserve Agency. And sometimes also the aspect of food secure also confuses me, because we always talk about maize. And you know, when we talk about institutions like the CS, like Matthews Muhuru and his organization, the Civil CSO, they would always tell you to say, we want a diversified agriculture system where we have diets that are diversified, where as opposed to just depend on starch, which is maize. So that's kind of arrangement as well. So when we're talking about food secure, we just hope it is all encompassing.
Indeed, Patrick, you spoke about Lusangazi, the story that you did, and these people are they are looking forward to see how government will come in terms of offering employment and maybe construction of roads and schools, among other amenities that they need. But, you know, if I've understood the president this time that he's been in office, is that I don't think Shamama's recruitments. You know, because he's highly spoken about people being industrious on their own where they are. The environment is becoming conducive by the day for people to do businesses and to thrive. So this mentality that we have to say, I need to be employed. Look at it, I'm teachers, Patrick Soko, honestly. They're just looking for 30,000 and over 100,000 have applied.
I have applied. What about these other fields?
For medical practitioners, it's the same thing, you know. They're just looking for 11,000 and over 100,000 have applied. What does that mean? People need to be industrious enough to think outside the box, away from these qualifications that they have on paper. Yes, qualification is very important, but it should open your mind. It shouldn't make you stuck in a position of wanting to be employed. I think that is a mindset we need to just remove out of our lives and just move out of this shell, because we'll keep on crying, and by 2026 we'll be saying this government has not created any employment as promised. But then if the environment is good enough for you to thrive as a business entity, that's good enough. And this is what the president is talking about. Even yesterday, Patrick, we earlier spoke about it. Be industrious enough, do good proposals that will enable you thrive wherever you are, you know. Not at the employment,
yeah, because at the end of the day, government cannot employ. And looking at those numbers, like you mentioned, they are huge numbers. Even if now, what sort of wage bill would be that?
It can't.
So we need to ensure that we are doing a balance. While we're having the public providing employment, the private sector also has to be more innovative to ensure that they complement the government. So we need to be more creative to say we can have a cooperative for teachers. Something that is
private practice.
Yes.
Start private practice. You know, you go to school, you get educated. For example, you're a doctor or what. You just don't need to wait.
And I've learned something that
you don't need to wait.
I've learned something that there's always money in one sector. That sector is agriculture.
But we don't.
If you can't sell it, you eat it.
You eat it.
So
there is no loss.
So there is no loss. So you are always safe in that context. So because at the end of the day we want to survive, isn't it, Sarah? You survive. You survive because you have your maize. You go to your chigayo with a 5 kwacha. You have something. If you don't have money for chigayo, you take that means and do vingo. You know the vingo.
You make
then you can also do all those arrangements. So
if you can't sell it,
yes,
you eat it.
You eat it. So if you have some groundnuts, you have done some groundnuts, you can actually do a blend. You do these things.
You know, so our they were even making cooking oil. Out of groundnuts.
You know,
they will pound. They will fry the groundnuts. Bapanga chidobe. You know that?
Yes.
Like you know, peanuts. We should call peanuts. You guys more basungu. You know, you put in a like a bowl or something.
Yes.
Then on top it just has that oil. Then you use that oil to cook. Basically, avocado.
So you see, sometimes we complicate life, Sharon. That's what I'm telling you to say. There's that sector, Sharon, where things are, because even if you don't have money to go and do anything, there are always those traditional means, preserving, to pound, to do what. There's always that. So sometimes even being engulfed in poverty becomes a choice someone makes.
You have the choice. Eh?
Sometimes if you think too much, it becomes a choice because there's a lot of Alboran, but people want to be confined in the city. In the city where the hobby becomes drinking alcohol. So you are busy consuming alcohol. Alcohol ends up consuming your energy, and you can't even hold the hoy.
Number one.
So that's the arrangement we have there, Sharon.
Zambian gin. But anyways, you're watching the Camnet Breakfast, and we are talking about some of the stories that made headlines, issues of national interest that can happen to either you or me. So please take part in this conversation. For now, though, let's take a short break. When we return, we'll be closing the show. Good morning.
Deborah Lukalu, all the way from South Africa. You are watching Camnet channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay tuned.
The Lusaka's Magistrate Court has adjourned to Monday next week the case in which former State House Press Aide Amos Chanda is accused of insulting Anti-Corruption Commission officers last year in October. The case was adjourned Wednesday afternoon after the defense lawyers informed the court that it was not possible for them to proceed to call Mr. Chanda on stand to open his defense, as he was supposed to produce a video, but due to the fact that there was no electricity at the subordinate court, requested for an adjournment. This is in a matter in which Mr. Chanda, his wife Mabel, and sister-in-law Ruth Nakaundi are accused of using, insulting, and obstructing SEC officers. And further, the allegation states that the trio have obstructed SEC officers and delayed them from lawfully searching at one of Mr. Chanda's property in Lusaka's Woodlands area. Earlier, when the matter was called before court, Magistrate Dominic Makalija warned SEC officers to stop intimidating witnesses in the case. This warning came after one of the defense lawyers, Joseph Chiwa, lodged a complaint by informing the court that the arresting officer in the matter, Mr. Joseph Mbewe, was intimidating and threatening a defense witness, Mr. Msonda Mlenga, who was called to testify in favor of Mr. Chanda. Magistrate Makalichan then cautioned both parties that such practices must stop forthwith and warned that in an event such behavior occur, he will not hesitate to take drastic measures against the culprit. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
You are still watching the Camnet Breakfast Governance and Policy with me, Patrick Soko, and Shalon Kalimbula. And we've been discussing various issues as we've been zooming in the headlines. And today we were just discussing various issues that have been topical, especially when it comes to current affairs. Just now, we were also zooming in the story from the courts involving Mr. Amos Chanda there. He has been also up in arms with the Anti-Corruption Commission.
The Anti-Corruption Commission has been a hive of activity of late, Patrick, and they've actually, I don't know if we can say, upping their game to make these arrests, to interrogate suspects of corrupt practices. And just yesterday, Patrick, the Anti-Corruption Commission released a statement that former Secretary to the Treasury Fred Sonyamba was arrested for corrupt practices involving 33 million United States dollars. Not kwacha, but dollars, guys. So Mr. Yamba, 62 of Lusaka, has been arrested and charged with one count of willful failure to comply with applicable law and procedure relating to procurement contrary to Section 34(2)(b) of the Anti-Corruption Act number 3 of 2012. So details are that in 2018, Mr. Yamba did not follow procedure when he authorized an advance payment of 33 million United States dollars, which is equivalent to 750,000 to China Energy Engineering Group, Henan Electric Power Design Institute Company Limited, for the construction of the FTJ Chiloba University in Mansa and Kasama under the Ministry of Higher Education. They said money was paid to the contractor, but to date, no university has been constructed.
Is that story where the president is saying people are supplying air?
Exactly, you know. And I think this is also in relation to the story that was this former permanent secretary for the Ministry of Higher Education,
yes,
Owen Mgemezulu, was also arrested involving this same amount of money, 33 million.
Should be the same story.
It's the same story, yes. You know, he signed, he authorized So what happens is that you authorize as a parent ministry, like for Ministry of Education, say, okay, we want a school, release money. Then the Treasury will release money, and also the Secretary to the Treasury will sign. So these two sign for this money without any structure being constructed this far.
The university hasn't even started.
It hasn't even started. It's just a name. It's just a plan. China, Henan, you're in trouble. ACC, wap your eyes.
Yeah, I think those are issues.
Is one of the stories that the Anti-Corruption Commission has been pursuing, and we will continue to follow up the story and see where it reaches. Obviously, today we will get some of the reactions and see how far the story has been.
Interesting. We have come at that time when we have to say bye-bye, because we were just dedicated this show to just discussing topical issues. And next week, when we come with another episode of the Camnet Breakfast Governance and Policy, Wednesday and Thursday, we are going to bring you exciting segments as well as interviews so that we can get the conversations going. Remember, the Camnet Breakfast is there for you to contribute on various issues that are affecting you in your localities. So let's keep the conversation going, even on our Facebook page. Sharon.
Indeed, Patrick, thank you so much for choosing Camnet TV. Join us again tomorrow on the Business for Breakfast as we talk various issues, including that of cooperatives. I think we will delve into such conversations so that you and I can educate one another. Remember, the Chief Marketing Officer is always encouraging us to do these things and become industrious. So it's only natural that we react to this call and do the right thing, other than start complaining thereafter when things start happening. So you and I can both benefit from the Constituency Development Fund, and that is the call that these people in authority have been calling. So we'll be talking about this. We were challenged to say we don't talk about these things, but we want to show them that we talk about them as much.
Yeah.
You know, they just don't know.
Yeah.
We talk about them, but we will also challenge them by calling them to come on set and talk about these things. If they don't come, we'll tell them, Mwamona.
We'll be doing the name and shame.
Yes.
If someone fails to show up.
Yes. Because also Mr. Ngoma had mentioned, I think, say, we invite these your ministers to come on shows, and then they don't come. They don't even apologize for not coming. Because it's a lot of work to convince someone to say come. Because we keep calling them. Oh, come. They agree, and then tomorrow they bank you.
And that reminds me, the one we're supposed to have hosted today. Today we want to do the name and shame. We just let them be.
But tomorrow we will definitely do that name and shame in an event that you don't show up, especially if you are a government official. This is person.
Exactly. Remember, Camnet TV is not just another channel.
Good morning.